You can go ahead and start.
All right. Hello. Today we will be talking about our proposal to help combat the spread of poliomyelitis, or polio for short, which is a life-threatening disease and can be the spread of it can be combated. Through education and vaccination.
So we will start working this fall of 2015 and end in 3 years' time, fall of 2018. And what we're going to do is we're going to educate the nurses and volunteers on the proper way of vaccination and using the allergy testing with that to work side by side. And also we're going to be educating the people in Northwest Pakistan to show the importance of the disease and getting vaccinated because it's severe and life-threatening.
So the symptoms of polio range from those associated with the common cold to paralysis or death. And death can be caused because people can get paralyzed in the lungs and not breathe, so then they die from that. And the polio virus is the virus that causes polio. And this disease can be transmitted through oral fecal route or even can be spread through human contact and bodily fluids.
So we've chosen to use OPV and IPV. So OPV is only effective against one type, which is the reason why we're using it as a backup for the IPV, which we are allergy testing as to whether or not to use either one. As IPV contains the three medicines neomycin, streptomycin, and polymyxin B, which can be very harmful to people who are allergic to this. So IPV uses 3 doses and OPV is 2 doses. Okay, so we're choosing to use 5 sectors per 2 sites. That's orphanages, halfway houses, community halls, churches or mosques, and also schools. I think I might have said that one. But those are the places we're choosing to set up our mission and our organization so that then we can reach out to as many kids as we can to stop the spread. We're also going to work with Post-Polio Health International and the Peace Corps in order to get as many volunteers as we can, and to also use their education newsletters, which can aid us in our education.
So we plan on working in the northwest region of Pakistan because the majority of the remaining cases over there, and the precedent campaigns have been met with resistance with families and because of the Taliban. So we want to emphasis on this region.
So if some of you may recall, I believe it was 2011 or 2012, Obama issued a fake hepatitis B campaign along with the CIA to track down bin Laden's whereabouts. Ever since then, a lot of Muslim countries have been very wary towards vaccination attempts from the United States because they fear that the vaccines will not be vaccines, but they will be poison or attempts to sterilize Muslims. So that is why many people have been resistant towards previous vaccination attempts and campaigns, and the Taliban believes that as well, and they have been killing people who are administering the vaccines. And previously, families have also been against vaccination because it didn't go with their religious or cultural beliefs.
So our budget, as compared by each other here, so most of our budget goes towards the volunteers who outside of the country from the United States. Will be giving them an opportunity to work with this organization, and we will be providing their flights, their housing, their budget for food and costs and things like that. Also included with the out and inside country volunteers would be vaccinations for them as well, to avoid the risk of spreading polio outside of the country. So security is also another big factor due to the Taliban risk. Nurses, newsletters, allergy testing, IPV, OPV, they're very little part of the budget, but they're very important. Newsletters from the PPHI, as I said before, are towards the education, so those will be spread among the 5 sectors we'll be focusing on. And then there's also the total there too that we're
Great.
asking for. The
Thank you guys very much. So we're going to transition now to questions if the board has any questions for the team.
So you highlighted the concern I had when I saw the region that you were going into with respect to the different facets that may not welcome such an organization, but I didn't understand how you're going to overcome that. You talked about the problem. How are you going to overcome that?
So how we're going to overcome that is by using security employees. We're going to have several detailed personnel and also protective security on each of the different sites in order to provide a way of combating that situation. And also, so those will be inside the 2 buildings per sector that we have. Also, by choosing the sites that we have, like orphanages, those kinds of places, we are hoping that the Taliban will avoid harming those kinds of places due to the fact that there's a lot of children in those certain types of buildings.
So you're not going to put people at risk, but let me press this point a little bit more. You mentioned that the attitude of the people isn't necessarily pro-vaccination. How are you going to change that?
Sorry, that was previously. Now, since they've seen more of the effects of polio and the disease, they're coming around the corner, so to speak, and they're more welcoming of it. And some people are even seeking out vaccinations for their children.
My question is, I'm curious why you selected this exact area, knowing all the things that are going on in terms of safety and things, and why you selected this as opposed to, another place where also the needs are great, because this does feel risky too to me a little.
So, out of all the countries in the world, polio is only remaining in Pakistan, Nigeria, and Afghanistan, thank you. Sorry, that was slipping my mind. And out of those 3 countries, 80% of polio cases are in Pakistan because of the reasons that we stated earlier. So that is why we want to try and stop and prevent the disease from further spreading because they're most affected in Pakistan.
And the northwest region is like more rural than the other areas of Pakistan, so it's easier for like the Taliban to like stop like progress in vaccinating, so they need the most help.
Okay.
How are you going to determine who to vaccinate? Do you have a limited amount of vaccinations?
So we are determining that by my budget. I determined that by using a source which said about 300 to 400 cases of children per year were in the northwestern Pakistan of last year. So we kind of calculated through the 5 sectors that it would be about 4,000 children in those places, and we're going to kind of try to categorize as many people as we can in those sectors as to what those numbers are. And it would mostly, we would hope that it would be as many people as possible, but there is accounted for in my budget an over-estimation, so then if there are more people coming than we originally thought of, we would cover those people too.
Great. Thank you guys very much for your time. The board will get back to you. All right?
Thank you.
Thanks.